They stay vigilant so we can sleep peacefully. They stand guard so we can be at rest. They put their lives on the line so we can live ours without fear. But who looks after the hero's heart? Welcome to Hero's Heart with Chaplain Dan Middlebrooks, President and CEO of Chaplaincy Care Incorporated, which according to Psalm 28:7 focuses on protecting the hearts of our heroes, our first responders. Learn more at chaplaincycare.org. Now your host, Chaplain Dan Middlebrooks.
I want to welcome everybody here as we begin our next session together. I'm excited about this one because it's a unique one, one that we've never really done before, because we talk many times about what is it that impacts our life. And in an earlier session, I briefly talked about what is called the House of the Heart. Now, the House of the Heart, when we begin to start going through each of the rooms, each room is very, very special. It's about the relationships that we have, the time that we spend. But there's one room that's called the storage room. And in that room, we have all of the things of our life, all of the experiences that we have. And oftentimes, like we have in many of our storage rooms, we kind of keep the things that we like close, and then the stuff that we necessarily maybe not use as much, or things that we would tend to want to forget. We kind of put that off to the side. We put it in the very back. When we look at the emotions in our life, when we look at the experiences that we have, there are some good, some bad, some happy, and some sad. And what I want to deal today is where those particular types of boxes will come from. How big are they? You know, when we have great experiences in our life, and those are the boxes that are filled with what I call the pictures, the programs, the possibilities of everything that we have. And so when we do that, it allows us to be able to have something that is, quite frankly, a joy to open up, a joy to re-experience. That's where in gatherings of friends and a family and those that are there, we start with the words, I remember when. And we just kind of go from it. We talk, we laugh, we reminisce, we smile, and we get lost in those moments that are those refreshing moments, those ones that are like a cool breeze on a hot day that just seems to come unexpectedly, and it allows you just to feel relaxed and calm, or maybe those cool crisp mornings when you get up. We don't have many of those in Florida. But when we do have them, boy, how sweet they really are. You see, those are the boxes that we don't mind keeping close by. And you know what's amazing about those boxes is those boxes do not feel or do not seem to be as large as some of the other boxes that we have in our storage room. Now, I want you to think about this, if you will. When we go through our happy experiences, when we go through our laughter experiences, those times that just make us smile, we have what I call is a modern day kind of a shoebox. It's not because of the size of the event or the importance or the value. It's just, it's just something that's manageable, something that we love to pull out back and forth. It's a whole lot easier to pull out a shoebox rather than kind of one of those great big monster boxes. So what I want you to consider today is the monster boxes that's in your life. When I talk about the monster boxes, I'm talking about those boxes that we keep stored in the back. Sometimes we keep them, we've wrapped duct tape around them to where we want to make sure that they never open accidentally. Actually, they just never open at all. We've wrapped them so tight and so much that it's actually easy to pry into. It kind of reminds me of what my wife's sister, when she sends a present, whether it's Christmas or birthday, man, there's so much tape on that sucker, it takes almost 10 minutes just to get into it. And we all have those boxes. We all have those particular type of of storage room space hogs in our life. And those are what I call the bad experiences. And the worse the experience, the bigger the box. Now, is it the experience itself that makes the box so large? I mean, is it like the tornado that comes and takes away our home? Is it the traffic accident that rips the life of a loved one from us? Is it a trauma that we experience in our life to where we see death or destruction or whatever it is? Especially, I'm talking to my first responders here, because though you may not live the tragedy, you live through the tragedy of others because of what you have to see and what you have to experience, and oftentimes what you have to do. My military, my law enforcement, and sometimes even our fire and rescue, of how they have to save someone. And sometimes they have to do things that are a hard choice, of maybe having to leave one so that they can save the other. But those are impacting moments. Those are the events that, if we are not careful, they will begin to clutter the house of our heart. It starts with just a storage room, but then those boxes begin to get so much because we don't take time to process them, talk about them, deal with them, that the boxes then start bleeding into the other rooms, and eventually they just start filling room after room after room to where we have no room in our hearts anymore. It's just filled with stuff. Let me talk to you about how to declutter the storage room of your heart. That's that area that you hold everything in, because we only have a finite amount of storage. Instead of using the whole heart, let's just use the room that it's designed for. The thing about America is, when we run out of storage room, we just go buy another storage room. We're a nation that has more storage buildings than a lot of nations have homes. And so we need to declutter our life. How do you declutter your heart? Well, let me talk to you about the monster boxes. Let's start with the things that are taking up the most space. So let's go to one of those boxes, and here's what I want you to be able to do. What makes that box so intimidating is the size of the box. Because as you pick it up, your hands start getting sweaty, your pulse starts to increase, the breathing starts to get rapid, the sweat starts to come down on the brow, because you know what's in the box. You know the emotions that are part of that. You know the events that surround it. You know the sights, the sounds, the smells that are part of it. It's always going to be a part of your life. And what I'm going to ask you to do right now is I'm going to ask you to simply take the time and let's open that box. We're not going to go through it, because how I'm talking with you right now is going to be a step-by-step process, and there really is a method to my madness. So when you take that box, I want you to take the Zippo knife, and I want you to let's go ahead and cut through the tape, and we're gonna open up the flaps. We open up the flaps, and you just do it a little bit at a time, because this is not one of those, hey, we just need to dump everything out. But here's what I want you to do is I want you to look at the massiveness of that box. Open up the flap, and I want you to start taking out the proverbial pieces of the puzzle. I want you to start laying them out. Here's a piece over here, here's a piece over here, and here's a piece over here. Here's the sights, here's the sounds, here's the smells, here's the people, here's the event itself. You know what's amazing when you start going through the event is you start realizing that for such a big box, it doesn't really have a lot in it. So why in the world do you have such a big box that contains just a little bit of stuff that's now taking up a whole lot of room in this storage room of your heart? I have an answer for that. It's actually a very modern day problem that I have. It's when I go get a bag of chips. My favorite is the ranch Doritos. I go buy the chips and I bring them home and I'm ready to have a sandwich or something, and I open up that bag of chips. Now it's a big bag of chips, or at least so I thought. It's because when I open that bag, I come to realize that it's only half full, if that much. What's taking up the rest of the space in this bag is the air. Basically, I'm not really paying for chips. I'm paying for a bag of half chips and half air. And so when I open up the bag and let the air out and maybe eat some chips, when I close the bag's smaller, so it's not going to take up so much space in my cupboard because it doesn't have the air in it. Do you see where I'm going? Because when we begin to start looking at the events in our life, and we begin to start telling the stories of each of the pieces that are part of that box itself, we begin to start letting some of the air of the emotions out of the box. You see, that's really what makes the box so big. It's not the event itself. It's all of the emotions that we poured into the box that take up so much space and makes it so large. Depending on the event, is the amount of energy and emotions that we put into it. And if we want to begin to start decluttering our life and dealing with the situations that seem to hold us back, or in a sense, crowd us out, we need to start dealing with each box at a time. And when we talk about the box itself, we begin to start letting some of the air of those emotions out of the box, so that when we repack the box, because we're going to repack the box, we're used to saving things, and I am a firm believer that everything that I go through in life, good, bad, happy, sad, I've said it before, it doesn't have to define me. It's there to develop me. Now, I don't choose the situations that I go through in life, but I sure choose how I go through them in life. And so when I talk about the event, when I share the story, sometimes the emotions are so raw and so overwhelming that, man, it's hard. It's hard to get through the story. One of the opportunities when I had younger, when I was singing, I was asked to sing a song called Butterfly Kisses. You may not know it, but it's a phenomenal song about, it's a wedding and things of that nature, and it's about a dad watching his daughter grow up and now giving her in marriage. It's a beautiful song. I was asked to sing that song. Now, I just had a 3-year-old daughter at that time. And when I heard the song for the first time, I was just weeping during the song. And now they're asking me to sing this song, and I can't make it through the song. I had to practice that song 11 to 12 times before I could just make it through the song without crying, because the face of my daughter, giving her away in marriage, all that stuff. But what I realized is that the more I sang it, the easier it became, because the picture was more positive, not so emotional. When we share our stories about the events that happen in our life, we're unpacking the boxes and we're sharing what that means. The impacts that we have, every tier has a story. And when we pack the box back up again, we don't pack as much of the emotions back into it. We've let the air out and we put it back in. And guess what happens the next time we tell about that story? Is we take a little bit more of the emotions out, the box gets smaller. And then we tell it again, and the box gets smaller. And every time it just gets smaller, because we're taking some more of the emotion out, some more of that intensity of what that box is. But we're also cutting down the size of the box. Think about that. You go now from a monster box to a shoebox. Now, which one is easier for you to handle? And when you start working on the monster boxes, and there's a bunch of them, you start getting into a room that's manageable and not so scary. And then you can share your story with others that may have the same type of story, and their boxes are big, and you can help them learn how to declutter the chaotic closet of their heart. Guys, it starts by just decluttering and unpacking the boxes. Do you have some boxes that you need to unpack? Maybe you're starting early as a first responder and you're trying to get started in that area and you're trying to move forward. Learn how to do this now. Because if you're a person that's been doing this for 20, 25 years or so, it's going to take you some time because you got a lot of boxes that you probably have stored. But it's better to start now than never, because eventually you're not going to have any time or space in your heart. Hey, let's start unpacking some boxes. And if you have any questions, go to the website chaplaincycare.org or just reach out and talk to me at daniel@r3cc.org. I look forward to getting with you next time. God bless.
You've been listening to Hero's Heart with Chaplain Dan Middlebrooks, President and CEO of Chaplaincy Care Incorporated. Learn what you can do to protect the hearts of our heroes, our first responders, at chaplaincycare.org.